Well, hello, happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, and that means it is time for the Unboring Wedding Show Live. Welcome to episode 10. I'm so thrilled you are here. If you are watching live, welcome. If you're watching on the replay, hello to you too, but the chat is bumping, and if you can get in live, it is always amazing for you to do so. There's always lots going on, a lot of experienced wedding officiants, lots of new wedding officiants. If you are here watching live, please say hello in the chat. Let us know what the weather is like where you're where you're watching from and where you are. I always love the weather reports from all around the world from people who are watching. It is a frigid, and I looked it up because I know today I knew I'd be on here. And my American friends, you use Fahrenheit for some reason. Get with the program, metrics where it's at. But I know the majority of you do Fahrenheit. So it was a minus 15 this morning. You see how the scales are getting closer and closer because in Fahrenheit, in Celsius, minus 25. I think they meet finally at minus 40. I could have looked that up, but I didn't. It's just off. I'm pretty sure that's correct-ish. Super cold this morning. I did go for my minus 25 Celsius 5K run. It was amazing. Bracing. Feels great. My winter skin is very dry and cold, but I am so thrilled to be here. I know there is snow in Texas, which even made the news up here. Even though it's minus 25 here, we were like, wow, look at that. Texas is getting snow. And so it's probably pretty chilly down in Florida, the Florida crowd who typically is here. So hopefully you're all keeping warm today. I am sweatered up. I'm wearing multiple layers and excited today to talk about shots. Yep, it's a very specific topic. Not sure how long we're going to go today. I'm going to say my piece. There are essentially three styles or three ways shots might come into the equation in a wedding ceremony. I have tried all of them. I've tried iterations of them and figured out where they go best in the ceremony because you know me, I love talking about the flow of the ceremony, where things, not only where they make sense, but also in terms of keeping that energy going. We want a wedding ceremony is kind of like a ride where, you want the moving, quiet moments. And then you want the levity, you want the joy, you want the seriousness. Sometimes even you want those moments of grief for loved ones who are passed away. So we talk about all that on the Unboring Wedding Show. I write about that on my website and, of course, on YouTube videos. And that is kind of what we're going for in a ceremony, is for people to be engaged, to feel the feelings, and, of course, ultimately to get the couple married at the end of it. And so if you are here today, I do want you to engage if you can. That means if you're watching this on YouTube, please sign into Google, your Google account. And then when you come back here, if you're not signed in yet, you will see the chat box. A lot of people reach out and say, I wanted to chat. How the heck are people doing this? You got to sign in. And then I'll be able to see your comments. So I do want to just say hello to those who have said hello or just chatting without me in the chat. And that is ultimately another reason for doing this every week, is it's a place for you to coalesce and to meet each other and talk. And I want to hear from you today. I'll be reading in the chat, what are your experiences with shots? Have you performed shots in a wedding ceremony? How did it go? What kinds of shots? Because like I say, I'm pretty sure there's three in all my years that I have seen, different iterations or variations of couples incorporating shots. Maybe you've seen something incredibly different than that. So I'm going to lay out my three and how I recommend you attack them. You do see how I have a little browser window open there in the bottom of the screen. I think you can see that because I will refer to that to an article that I wrote pretty recently at one point. And that is one of the shot styles. So I know a lot of you like to take shots when I say wedding MBA in Vegas. It's kind of a running joke because just about every time I'm on here, I do talk about Vegas and wedding MBA in November. Every November, it's an amazing conference. So Mike, go ahead. But today, I wonder if you want to take a shot every time I say shot. For your health and safety, I would recommend you not do that. Now I'm going to pour myself. Yes, see, I came planned. I'm going to pour myself a cup of hot tea here because, as I said, it is freezing. And of course, my tea today, my Earl Grey, will be in a shot glass. I'm probably desecrating the tea and the shot glass by doing this. But hey, we can do what we want. It's Wednesday. Perfect. I wish there was milk in it, but I didn't want to start doing a whole tea prep in front of you live here. So good to see those who were here first. Sabrina, Ben, Jeff, Mike, and then Bill came in shortly after. Good morning from Tahoe. And then Sarah's here. These are members of Unboring Wedding Academy. Love when you show up. Love that you're here. And of course, you are experienced, a lot of you, in shots. So maybe you are here to give your thoughts and opinions in the chats on shots, or just brush up. I know a lot of you like to kind of knock the rust off in January, February, the off season, and be ready. If you are in your wedding workshop, that's what we call our planning session in Unboring Wedding Prep anyway. And when you're with your couple, if they say, we want to bring shots into the ceremony, you want to be able to offer them maybe a few different options. I always say, officiants, it is not on you to be a repository of knowledge when it comes to different rituals. A lot of the time, I will put things back on my couple. The wedding ceremony doesn't really need anything more than, in my opinion, a great story, vows, ring exchange 99% of the time, and then pronouncing them married and presenting them for the first time. And so when they start saying things like, what readings do you recommend? What unity rituals do you recommend? I usually say, I don't recommend any. That's not to be taken to mean I don't want to do any, but it really should come from the couple. It should be something that they're passionate about, seeing something that they want. And so a lot of couples will say, we want to do shots. We just feel like it's us. We've seen it on a TikTok, or friends of ours did it, and how would you do it? And so today, that's kind of the spirit in which I come to you to talk about shots. I'm not shooting tea. It just came out of the kettle. Ben Ben now is saying hi to others, so I'm saying hello to Ben, who's saying hello to other people. That's amazing. Love that you're here. Sarah's jumping right in, saying, I've done a tequila shot ending after the pronouncement. It was fun. The couple did the shots, not me. They had a personalized shotski made with their last name and date. Cute idea. Sarah, you get one of the three. Shotski is something we are going to talk about today. That is absolutely correct. So you have seen it, you have done it, the shotski. And so some of you are saying, what the heck is a shotski? You're in the right place. This is something that a lot of couples are incorporating. I've done it several times. It is a cute idea, I agree. And where do you put it in the ceremony? Where does it go best? Something to talk about. Okay, and let's see. Jeff is here. Amazing. Anita is here. Good to see you. Mike says it's pretty quiet in here. Well, hopefully it's bumping now. I'm seeing the number of people who are here live. It's January. It's January. It's a Wednesday. Monday was a snow day here, so the kids absolutely loved that. We got, foot and a half of snow or something, 15 centimeters, 20 centimeters in some areas, 25 in others. And so we had our snow day, and then it got absolutely frigid. Reverend Claudia, you have your shot ready? I love that some of you just maybe you misinterpreted that I'm going to talk about shots in a wedding ceremony. Maybe you just thought we're going to just do shots together today. So anyway, clinking the glasses with you, Reverend Claudia. I also have my shot here. Cecilia's here from Vancouver Island. Amazing. Latina is here from Chile, Texas. So we've heard. Paul Burr, greetings from Trumbull, Connecticut. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one absolutely freezing. So that's good to hear. And again, I've said this before. In St. Stephen here, we basically bought a house that's kind of like a museum in the sense of it's 140 years old, built by boat builders back in the 1800s. The house holds up pretty well. There's been some renovated areas in the minus single digits, but when it's minus double digits, the house just throws up its hands and says, "You're just going to have to walk around in slippers and a blanket." So, so I'm the warmest I felt today was when I went for that run in minus 25. Since then, I've been cold and stayed cold. Eva's here. Ava, good to see you. It's freezing in Connecticut, 6 degrees, beautiful snow. Yep, there you go. You are cold as well. Just scrolling down here for any other names. Tamara's here, Loves Park, Illinois. Good to see you. And Joanna from Corona, California. Great to see you here. And I hope California continues to do well and be safe coming out of those tragic fires. We are with you and hoping things change in that regard, and that California recovers well from that. Okay, Mike says, I have not performed shots during the ceremony. Does doing shots before the ceremony to relieve nerves count? This is why I love being on with you. Comment, Mike. I would decrease your performance. You're free to take a shot. I have been offered, and I've seen couples do this, especially when the couple sees each other and their party are all together. I mean, one time I did that. I did a ceremony in a brewery, Steam Whistle Brewery in Toronto, and went up to see them in kind of the room that overlooks the ceremony area. And I could not believe the number of empty beer bottles on the table. There had to be 30, 40, 50 green bottles, because apparently part of the wedding service that the brewery provided was beers for the couple and the party. Most of them were in the bag by the time the ceremony started. Again, legally, I cannot marry drunk people, so I had to check with the bride and groom that they were lucid. But and so I get offered if the party are doing that, and I show up and I check in, they say, "Mark, do you want one?" And for me, I'm a lightweight. I would start slurring after one shot. My face would be numb. So not a performance enhancer for me. The nerve thing, hey, Mike, I love that you said that, because a lot of people say to me, how do you not be nervous? I say this in the final stage of Unboring Wedding Academy, the course. You're going to be nervous. Channel the nerves. That shows that you care. That shows that you're alive. That will give you the jolt you need to be enthusiastic and do the ceremony very well. So exercise, make good choices, as parents say. You get somewhere, just make good choices today, okay? As parents say, Mike, do what's best for you. Paul's here. Good to see you. Looking forward to the website. Yes, thank you for ordering the website service, Paul. And we are waiting for GoDaddy to release the domain, and then we'll be getting your website up and running. So good to see you. Johanna says the couple wanted to do shots, so we implemented them after the witness signed the marriage license. Yeah, so there you go. We're going to talk more specifically than that. Now I'm getting to the tea and the shot glass, which I've never done before, so I'm doing this totally for your benefit. And hey, it does work. Again, I'm really realizing how much I like milk in my Earl Grey tea. Karen says, almost freezing in Florida. Almost, eh? Just about. Again, minus 15 Fahrenheit here. Hope you're staying warm, Karen, and I'm glad you are here. An outdoor wedding on Friday with no indoor backup option. Wow. So that's a thing in Canada, especially fall weddings, outdoor fall weddings. It's very common for the couple to have a slew of blankets. I wonder if this is new to you in Florida. But that's something I recommend. I'm not sure if your couple has a planner, but when I get to the ceremony space, a lot of the time there will be blankets all rolled up, and there'll be a cute little sign on chalkboard or something that says, take one, and hopefully you're as warm as our love, or something like that, something cute. And guests just have at it. And so when I open up, a lot of the time the guests will be fully wrapped in blankets. And of course, that's something you want to comment on. Whenever guests are uncomfortable, this is off topic, but hey, you're getting me going on a tangent here, Karen. If people are freezing, or if people are roasting, or whatever it is, if it's super windy, you want to say it. You want to state the obvious. It's just like anything unexpected that happens during the ceremony. This is my kind of My formula for that is just to say it. And so a lot of the time I'll get up and say, who here is glad that, Sam and Alex decided to get married on the absolute coldest day of October? And everyone, yeah, something like that. So have fun with it, but definitely mention it. And I just hope things warm up for you by Friday. Clock is ticking. Shots ritual is now on your bucket list. Good, good. Maybe you don't want to push it on your couple, but chances are you'll be asked because it's a thing. Oh, and now Anita's giving Karen advice on how to stay warm. Absolutely love that. Paul says, last wedding I did had a 1 hour happy hour before the ceremony. Great crowd. Don't you love that? I'm going to pour myself another. I'm going to have to pour myself lots of teas here. Didn't think I should have had a mug after this shtick lost its luster, but well, I'm just going to keep refilling, folks. We're comfortable with it. It's episode 10. We know each other now. It's like having a friend over. Yeah, I love when the crowd gets kind of lubricated before the ceremony. Great crowd. So whenever the couple says we're going to have a bit of a cocktail hour or open bar before the ceremony, man, when you say, "Are you ready for Sam and I to get married?" It's a roar. It's a lot of fun, and so I do love that. Okay. Wondering, did you drain your lines? This is, I assume, another conversation. Did you drain your lines? It's like I don't even wanna know. Yeah, Karen, I hope they have blankets too. It's a good idea. And like I say, if it's new, it's something you might want to suggest. People usually run out to, I was going to say Bed Bath and Beyond, but that's gone the way of the dodo. So where do people go in the States? Target, get a bunch of nice blankets and roll them up and put them in baskets. It looks really nice. Okay, so let's talk about the 3 kinds of shots that your couple might ask for. And of course, you already know, spoiler, one of the 3 is the shotski. And so first time I heard that, I just thought they were being cool when they said, we want to do shotski. I was like, you bet ski. But it's literally a shot ski. So we'll get there. But more typical in the wedding ceremony, your couple will ask you to do, and here's number 1, drum roll please, unity shots, okay? And so a unity shot is pretty much just like any other unity ritual. And that is where, typically for sand, the big 3, I call them, are sand mixing, hand fasting, candle lighting. Now, those are all very different, right? But essentially, what you're doing is you are doing something physical, demonstratively, in real life that people can see, that crystallizes the vows that the couple are making that day, the promise, the coming together. Like I say, whether it's 2 flames coming together or tying their hands up, these are different in exactly what they're signifying. For example, the hands, you got 2 hands, but you're tying them up together. The candles, 2 flames coming together, sand mixing. You've got the sand being mixed and it can never be separated. So I kind of classify all those as unity rituals. And so the shot ritual, when it's done as a unity ritual, and I've seen some couples do this, they want to blend 2 of their favorite drinks, alcohols, liquors. Maybe it's 2 kinds of whiskey. Maybe it's rum and gin. I've had some couples say we want to make a gin and tonic. So one poured the tonic and one poured the gin. So sometimes it can be crazy, like 2 scotches that should never be mixed. But they do that anyway. And of course, the language that you choose then will, be dependent on exactly what they're deciding to do with the liquid itself. But ultimately, when you're talking about a unity shot, you are talking about the liquid ending up in a glass, and usually they will each have a shot, whether that's at the same time, whether one takes a shot and the other takes a shot. But ultimately, you want your language to reflect exactly what's being done. That's why I wanted to pull up this article that is on my website, and I'm just going to put this in the chat right now. If you want to pop over and have a look at that, there's a YouTube video to it as well. But essentially, it's kind of a formula for every unity ritual. And you can see there, I've got my table of contents right off the top. So for a shot, and I think I used the shot as an example in this article a couple of different times. But the first thing you want to do when you're doing a unity shot is explain what the unity ritual signifies. So just as I told you, in the intro to this article, I talk about how you don't want people to say, what the heck is going on right now? So your lead in to a hand fasting or sand mixing, or I use different specific examples here. For example, I provide some scripting here at the bottom for the first thing you might say is something like, Kelly and Madison are two individuals with two separate lives until today in marriage. They come together and uniting their past and their stories into one in a way that can never be separated. Now, that's a very kind of generic wording that you can use before any unity ritual. And that's what this article is about. It's the formula for any and every unity ritual you want to do. So you see how you can use that for a shot, and and then you can lead into what that means exactly next. So just to orient guests, and yourselves here, I would say the shot ritual comes in best after the vows. And this is where I say about pretty much any unity ritual is it doesn't make sense to do this stuff before the vows, because as I said, and as you're going to say in your intro, you want the unity ritual to actually be putting in the real world using objects to be symbolizing what they just did with words. Okay, obviously we saw them exchange vows and make those promises and essentially unite their lives. But now we do some sort of ritual that signifies in a different way what they just did when they said their vows. So that's why it just makes a lot more sense to have this happen coming out of the vows, and the guests will be able to follow along, especially when you open with, up to today, they've come here living two separate lives, and now they will forever join them and they can never be separated. And then again, see how that makes sense if you move into a sand mixing or if you move into unity candle. Well, it's the same way with shots, except what I love about shots is a lot of people might have seen those unity rituals. And so I go on in the article to talk about how that might be a playful way to move into the shots. So continuing on, the second thing then is name the unity ritual and how it works. And so after you talk about what this, how their lives are uniting in a way that can never be separated, that's where you say, and so now, I think I'm using Kelly and Madison in this article. Kelly and Madison will now, and so here I use the scripting example, they're now each going to take a candle, and the candle represents how they, and so this is a unity candle lighting. You would basically say that. Well, here, this is where you want to say something playful, like, so number 3 is set the unity ritual in motion. I'm skipping down here because describe how the unity ritual is personal to the couple. That's number 4. And I actually say this is a pretty good order for every unity ritual except for shots. And so, like I said, I want to go back to what I said before, where the playfulness of doing shots, you're going to kind of play that off against the more traditional. And so now we're going to light a candle. No one's going to laugh at lighting a candle. However, typically in a wedding ceremony, when you say it's time for shots, it just gets people laughing. And so you want to play on that. And I talk about this in this section. So here's my example for a unity shot. See, I talk about how you might want to play with where this goes when it's shots. You might say something like, some couples signify their union with lighting a candle or mixing sand, but Kelly and Madison, well, they felt it more true to them to signify their union with tequila or single malt scotch or whatever you want to say. And again, it'll get a laugh, or you can just say with shots, and then you can extrapolate a little more on how this, you don't want to say because they're party animal. Maybe you do. Maybe it's no secret they love to party, but you can also get specific about what liquid they chose. Again, you might, on Saturday nights, we are all familiar with Kelly and Madison, or if you come to their house, they are, the quintessential hosts who love to serve a gin and tonic. And so there was just one couple where that was just quintessentially them. The cocktail that was going to be served at cocktail hour was going to be a gin and tonic. And so they wanted to, and this is where, again, the unity blending is pretty easy. They wanted to actually go over and mix those two things. Okay, I am for some reason not being allowed to flip back to full screen, so I'm just gonna stop the screen sharing there. I'm still not. Am I gonna have to be in a little corner here for the rest of the day? There we go. I'm back. I'm full size again. And so in that case, you would follow that formula of basically introducing the section with, their lives are going to be joined. And then you could say something like, a lot of couples would do the sand mixing or the hand fasting, but Kelly and Madison feel it more true to them to bust out the gin and tonic, and then you set the ritual in motion, right? That was the next part where they would actually move over to a table and start doing the thing. And I talk in this article, and I've said it many times here, you want to eliminate as much dead air time in a wedding ceremony. Don't be scared of it. It's not radio, but it's always better to keep things going by having them do something and you're kind of narrating at the same time. They're both very complementary, I find. And so in the rehearsal and in the script for sure, I would say when I say gin and tonics, Kelly and Madison, that's when you move over. And if they don't, you can invite them. I invite now, Kelly and Madison, you're going to mix some gin and tonics. And you can talk about how, the gin and the tonic, and maybe they chose the gin specifically because, they were in some place that makes gin. Maybe there's a special distillery that they love, that they visit. It's a special bottle. Who knows? Or you could just, again, refer to how quintessentially, whenever you think of Kelly and Madison hosting or sitting together on a Saturday night, they're always having a gin and tonic. Maybe they quickly mix up his and her, partner A, partner B drinks, marrier A, marrier B, and they mix them and then give them to each other at that point. But this is where you're going to kind of follow that ritual of talking about what we're signifying, introducing it by name and talking about why it's personal to the couple, setting the ritual in motion, trying to get them to do it while they're talking. One thing that I really love for unity shots is to count down. And it was hilarious because one time in a ceremony, it was really funny where as I was describing it, they were mixing two kinds of scotch, which kind of grossed everybody out, but that was really fun too. A single malt double wood or something is being mixed with a single malt 12-year-old Islay Bowmore. And people were just like, oh my God. And you could say like, yep, that's going to taste terrible. And then you can really, when you're writing about this stuff, you can really have a field day. There's a pretty well-known script about tequila. Marriage is just like tequila. It's going to hold up after a long day. You can come home to it, and there's some really fun scripting around that. So you can have a field day in terms of, or turn to ChatGPT to ask to figure out to write something about the specific alcohol, not just why it's important to your couple, but also how is this strong drink kind of like marriage. How is it like the couple? So I'm not here today to kind of really get into the nitty gritty of what to write there. But this is where, like I say, you would take a moment to sit down and really write something specific to the alcohol they've chosen or why it's important to them or both, and then set the ritual in motion. So the funny part is that when I was talking like this about tequila, saying a little ditty about how it's just like marriage, a good marriage, I looked and they had done it. And then I kind of said, well, wait a second. So they're going to take the shots. And I looked over, I said, wait, did you guys do it already? And they kind of sheepishly looked at me and everybody laughed. I said, I'm supposed to count you down. That's not acceptable. Do it again. Pour your second. Everyone's like, yeah, pour a second one. So I made them pour it again and then take it. And so then I counted them in. And so the countdown to the shot when you're a spectator, because again, shots is usually participatory. Only in a wedding are you going to watch the couple do shots and you're not participating. I think we've all been to a bar where, everybody's got a glass. You don't let anybody have an empty glass if they, unless they don't drink, of course, then they have something non-alcoholic. But usually everybody's very participatory. So that the way that I like to get everyone participating in a wedding ceremony is to count them in. And so I'd say, raise your glasses, Kelly and Madison. We're going to count you in. 3, 2, 1. Love and happiness. You can choose something and then something to say there instead of just woo. Have the couple like say something and have everyone say it with you, or just take the shot, and then they take the shot and they come back to center. That's number 5, where you want to get them back into position quickly. That's the kind of stuff to practice at the rehearsal, but also, as I said, don't let the dead silence. If you've just talked about shots and you gotten people laughing and it's very lighthearted, and then they go over and it's kind of in total silence while they do it, to me, it's just not as energetic as it could have been. Try to keep that energy building, time it so that when they're done, they're raising their glasses, they're waiting for you to finish saying your piece. Then you can say, we're gonna count them down, 3, 2, 1, and then we're gonna shout Mazel Tov. I don't know, whatever you want to shout, and do it that way, okay? And so that is the unity shot. I'm curious in the chat, have any of you done that kind of unity shot right in the ceremony, right after the vows, essentially in place of, as I said, a hand fasting, a sand mixing, more of those traditional unity rituals? The first time a couple asked me to do that many years ago, I just thought, okay, this kind of follows the same formula, but it's going to get people laughing. And nobody laughs when you say, and this is where now we're going to do a hand fasting. There's something about shots that just gets people energy going. And the more, lethal the shot, the more inappropriate what they're mixing or whatever, the better, in my opinion. And it's always a joy when one of them, isn't used to liquor like that, and then they take the face alone is fantastic. So people really, really enjoy it. The couple will have chosen that, and that is how you essentially sub it in as a unity ritual, kind of a modern, fun, contemporary twist on the more traditional unity rituals. Okay. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's interesting. DJ playing tequila during the ritual. Yeah, I would say, like I said, it's not long. You're only going to talk for like 20 seconds. So if there was any dead air time, and I've had couples actually, prepare or tell their DJ when I get there, okay, so they're going to play music during the thing. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be so fast. I'm not sure. So maybe if you had it fading into the background, if you had a really good DJ, but we're not talking 2 or 3 minutes here typically. That said, if there is a bit of drink preparation, I absolutely love that idea, especially if it's tequila, the water of life. Great. Sounds like you're off to the races in terms of analogies, things to write. Like I say, take some time to think about what you can write about the alcohol, about your couple, maybe some history around it, and just extrapolate on that while they go over and get it ready. And then when they're ready, you'd kind of want to prep them in a rehearsal. Hold up your glass, and then I will stop talking and we'll count you in. Again, the counting in is really the most fun way so that they can do it together and we can all cheer and clap, and then they can come back. And then typically we move into the ring exchange there if there's not another kind of ritual to happen next. There you go. Salut. That's a good one. 3, 2, 1, salut. And that's absolutely great. And so you did a tequila shot right there as well, Ben, in the unity ritual. It is absolutely perfect. I agree. All right, we got 2 more to cover. And as Sarah said, the third one is like a sort of a pseudo shot situation. Oh my gosh, I've got a gravelly voice. I got to pour myself another shot there. Something to my throat. There you go. The tea's cooling down, so I can actually start doing tea shooters, Earl Grey shooters. Ben says, I've had them do the shot, then sign the marriage license. DJ had more time for a nice, fun musical piece. Okay, so you can do it after the ring exchange, then the shot, then signing the license, which is cool. Um, I want to talk about how, and that's a good segue, Ben, because that's a great spot for it as well, to just have the music playing. You'd still want to do all that introduction, then they take the shot, and then you can say, we're going to sign the papers. That's a great idea. So it would work between the vows and the rings, or after the rings, right before the marriage license. Many of you are saying, what? Marriage license in the ceremony? That's a whole different Unboring Wedding show, I guess. I do make that plea in Unboring Wedding Academy. I say, the signing in the ceremony is absolutely awesome. In Canada and Commonwealth countries, we know this very well. It's not a dour affair, although traditionally it is done in a very dour way. But years and years ago, I just realized, wait, this can be really fun if we, do the pronouncement, they kiss, everybody cheers, then we go sign the papers. So with the kiss, I'm trying to figure out, Ben, and how did you do this? It would be the kiss. You had them do the shot, then sign the marriage license. Yeah. Would it be kiss, then the shot, then the signing? Because I'm always looking for, a way to, like I say, to keep the signing fun and light. And usually that's to have a really fun song. I wouldn't want the shot to get lost at all in the signing of the license. In my experience, the signing of the license takes almost as much time as we have song. And again, that'll depend on how many witnesses you have where you are. In Canada, we need the couple to sign, the witnesses to sign. And more often than not, we're running out of song by then. By the time we move over, sit down, chit chat, the couple poses for the photographer. And if it's a 4-minute song, a lot of the time I can't even get my signature in. So I just sign it after. I get everybody back to the center. And then we are ready for the pronouncement. But as I say, I want to segue now into whether or not you have the signing. As I said, I do make the case for that in Unboring Wedding Academy. We are trying to export that from Canada to the US without any tariffs attached. Sorry, did I say that? I am trying to export the idea of the signing to the US for those who have never seen it before, because it is absolutely awesome. And everybody who tries it once says, that is amazing. It's true. But let's turn now to the shotski. As Sarah already mentioned, I like to incorporate the shotski right before the pronouncement. And basically, when they do the shot with the ski, again, I'm not just using surfer language here. I'm not just saying, what's up, dude, ski. I'm the shot ski. Don't make the same mistake I did. It's literally a wooden ski, typically wooden, with 2 holes. And so you'd have 2 shot glasses sitting nested in the little holes. And so your couple facing their guests pick up the ski, and the shot glasses are in it, each kind of spaced appropriately, one in front of each marrier. And kind of, again, on the count of 3, do the count in, really fun, salut, or whatever you want to say. They would tip the ski and take the shot, kind of pressing it all to their mouth. And the bottom of the ski, as Sarah already described, typically says Mr. and Mrs. with the wedding date on it, something like that, okay? Or newlywed and the date. It's up to them. The shotski industry is very healthy. If you make shotskis, if you're looking for a niche to get involved in, make some shotskis. Get on Etsy or Amazon, start selling your shotskis, because it's really cute. It's a souvenir that they will keep forever. And it's such a tangible part of this really fun ritual right at the end of the ceremony. So I love to do this right at the end. And that's why this really blends with the third style really well. But I do want to talk some logistics around the third. Like I say, pseudo shot. I'll keep the suspense there because we're just covering shotski. So after the signing, the couple comes back to the center. They face the guests now. They're typically holding hands. I've made a whole video on ending with a grand finale. I lay this out in the course. The ending, you want to get this right. When they're facing their guests holding hands, this is where, as the officiant, you will be standing now to their left or to their right, because you got out of Dodge when they started kissing, right? You're not going to stand there while they kiss. You're going to leave. But then when they're done kissing, if there's a signing, everybody leaves the center, goes over to the signing table, comes back and faces the aisle, right? But if there is no signing, if you've kind of dispensed with that or your couple's not into it, that's fine. You still need to make all those movements. So let's say there's no signing. The couple have finished their first married kiss after you have pronounced them husband and husband, you may kiss, and they kiss. Then you come back, not to the center, because they're going to turn and face the aisle. Then you'd be standing behind them. That's very weird. So for this portion, typically I'm to their left or to their right, depending on which way I got out of the way. To be honest, I often stand in front of the best man. It feels like a less rude, for some reason, place to stand than the maid of honor. But again, well, I'm not sure what gender their best attendant is going to be, so I kind of pick ahead of time or on the spot. I'm going to stand to the couple's left or right. That way I'm kind of gesturing to them for this last ritual. Somebody has to bring them the shotski. You can decide if the tequila or whatever it is that's in the glass, Earl Grey tea, will already be in the glass, or they can hold it and you can have somebody come up and pour it very briefly. And you'll want to introduce the same idea. Um, the shotski. I don't know if you want to talk about where this tradition started or why a ski, or maybe you just want to flub it and say it's just fun to say shotski. Doesn't make much sense beyond that. But there's a surprise waiting for you when they take the shot. It's fun to have the guests really interested, because it is super cute when they tilt it up and there's something written on the bottom, and you want your couple to kind of hold it there for the photographer to get a shot and for everyone to be able to read it. It's really, really, really nice. So, but really importantly here, when they are coming back to the center, or when after they're done kissing and they turn, you still want to do those closing remarks, okay? Like I say, go see my grand finale video for all the nitty gritty on that. We don't have time to cover that today. But then they will turn and face the guests. This is where, as the officiant, you make your brief closing remarks. You get everybody cheering. Are you ready to celebrate? And then you say one more thing before we finish. Our couple would like to, their first married act, do the time-honored tradition, and I really lean into it like that, the time-honored wedding tradition of the shotski, because a lot of times it feels it's not time-honored or traditional, but that gets a laugh. So they will take the ski, again, have somebody bring it to them, decide whether or not the alcohol's already in there, or maybe like, a best attendant brings the ski and the other best attendant pours the alcohol into it. And similar as we said before, 3, 2, 1, salut. They take the drink, they hold the ski there, everybody cheers, and then immediately you want to present them for the very first time. As soon as they're done, a lot of time I'm the one who takes the ski from them and then says, friends and family, I present to you for the very first time, Mrs. and Mrs. Smith, whatever it is. And up they go, and the big cheer. Okay, so this is how you keep momentum going. And the shotski, because everybody's cheering, you almost don't want to let that cheer peter out. You want to just take the shotski from them and send them up the aisle. Okay, again, lots of iterations you can do on this, just like anything else, but that is how I've done it. That is how I find the momentum carries through really, really well. Okay, so let's see now. Ava's got an interesting don't shoot me, I saw. So I'm gonna take a shot here for this. Don't shoot me now. I have a clause in my contract that if any of the marriage is under the influence of alcohol or drugs, it's grounds for me not to do the ceremony. Oh, there's no shooting involved at all. Pun intended. I think that's really smart. And legally, I definitely, I believe in the Marriage Act, at least in Ontario. I always tell them I'm not allowed to marry somebody who's drunk or high or that kind of thing. So I think you're okay there. I think that's more than reasonable. And if you put it in your contract, that probably means you've seen some things, Ava. So, I think that's fine. Ava says, to me, Unity shots would be a contradiction. Their signature drinks at cocktail hour is good enough. Okay, well, again, your couple will likely ask you, and the shots are really different than the cocktail hour. You don't want to be mixing up a fancy cocktail in the ceremony. But blending two liquids together, like I say, you might need to be prepared to write something about that. That is fulfilling the same function as a sand mixing or two candles coming together. You could say, like, my wife loves bourbon. Her favorite drink is Bullet 10. It has a meaning for her because it was her dad's favorite when he passed away. And at the wake, essentially, she and her sisters really indulged in a bottle in honor of their dad and that kind of thing. Now, my favorite scotch is Old Putney 12-year-old. I've tried the 15. It's not even as good as the 12. It is my definitely my goal to get to that distillery one day in Scotland. So that is an example of how, if it were my wife and I doing a vow renewal, say, we might want to blend Old Putney and signature 10-year-old, and it would be a desecration of Bullet 10 and Old Putney to mix them. And I don't know what our faces would be after we took that shot, but it would be a lot of fun. And the officiant could mention that it's my favorite, it's her favorite. Just like marriage, it's going to be it's going to be unexpected. Maybe you're going to do things that aren't right. Whatever, you can have fun with that kind of language. And so it is different than a signature cocktail. It really is more about the unity. Okay. Karen says, we made an old fashioned during our wedding ceremony. Amazing. Bitters, cherries, 12-year-old bourbon, all symbolic. It was a crowd fave. Cheers to that. I love that. My wife and I have an old fashioned party every Christmas, and I basically stand at our counter and I cranked out about 35 or 40 old fashions that night, made my own bourbon cherries. Karen, another thing we have in common, absolutely love it. And I love that you did that. So thanks for sharing that. Cecilia says, I stick to the law. No marriage should be under the influence of substances. 100%. So in your contract, if you say I'm not allowed to marry or I will not marry you under the influence, that's totally fine. Let's move to the third one for the sake of time. But it's very similar to the shotski, so I don't need to repeat a lot of the logistical stuff. And that is the shot/toast. Okay, and so this one's a little bit different. It's a variation on the shotski, but I find that it goes in the same place really well, just a couple of differences. So a lot of the time, a couple will say, we love a toast right before a pronouncer. They don't really know. They just say, somewhere can you do a toast? My first question I always ask them is, do you want me to say the toast, or do you want somebody else to stand up and lead the toast? Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's a parent. They decide. And so a toast can be done either with champagne in flutes or, again, shots of their favorite tequila or something like that. I've seen it done both ways. Logistically, the best way to execute this, to Ben's point about time, using the signing as time to set something up, is, and this is why it's best to do the toast to the couple after the signing, after the closing remarks, and right before you present them for the first time as married. The very last thing. For all the same reasons, like I said, I don't need to repeat this. For all the same reasons that the shotski worked where it did, keeping that momentum going, keeping that energy going. If your couple says, can you include a toast somehow? Now I always say, I know exactly how to do it. Do you want me to say it, or do you want someone else to say it? Great. Second question is, do you want it to be champagne, or do you want it to be more like a shot? And that's why I'm saying this is sort of shot. A lot of the time it's champagne. I have seen it done with shots where you're going to follow the same thing, where when we start doing the signing, so they kiss, everybody cheers, you move into the signing, DJ's playing fun song or music, band, whatever it is. When I do a wedding at, say, the Algonquin Resort nearby or anywhere really, I just mentioned the Algonquin because their staff, their team, they are absolutely incredible. And Kate, the venue coordinator there, event coordinator, she is always on it. The staff come out with trays of the champagne flutes or the shot glasses, whatever, and they start handing them out row by row, boom, boom, boom. I've seen 120, 140 guests all get a glass within 4 to 5 minutes. And so ideally, that's what you want. You want everyone to have their champagne flute or their shot glass by the time that song is over. And yes, you might ask your couple to choose a bit of a longer song, something fun, but not a 3.5 minute, more like a 5.5 minute. And when you come back to the center as the officiant, I'm laughing because a lot of time I'm saying, where's mine? The officiant for some reason gets forgotten. Somebody typically brings me one. And this is where you will give your closing remarks really briefly. They're always brief, but you want to say something like, yeah, everybody's holding a glass. They signed the papers. It's official. They're officially married. Everybody cheers. Couple things for you to know. They're heading out for photos. In the meantime, it is cocktail hour. There'll be charcuterie and appetite hors d'oeuvres served right here on the terrace. Reception set to begin at 6:30. On behalf of the couple, thank you so much for coming. Are you ready to celebrate? Well, one more thing. And this is where then you say, let's all raise our glasses, and then you will have some sort of toast prepared. Very brief. I like to make sure it's short enough that I don't need to be reading it because I have a glass in my hand. And typically it's something very similar, very simple, like Kelly and Madison. May your lives be filled with love and laughter, happily ever after. To the bride and bride, and everybody shouts to the bride and bride. So at the end of a toast, it's very easy to say to the bride and groom, what have you, and then everybody takes the shot together, and immediately you roll into, and just similar with the shotski, a lot of the time I am grabbing the flutes or shot glasses out of the couple's hands. We can coordinate something else where they turn and give it to their best attendants. The problem is those best attendants also have to walk up the aisle, so you don't necessarily want them each holding two. So you'll work out the glass disposal plan. This is where I like shots because typically everybody can finish a shot, whereas the champagne flute, let's face it, it works like a shot. Everybody takes one sip and then they're pretty much walking around with a 3/4 full champagne flute. I have seen some couples absolutely glug, glug, glug the flute, but I think that was only once or twice. But it works similarly, where, like I said, you come out of the signing. By then, everybody's got their glass. You give closing remarks, raise the glass, give your toast. If it's not you giving the toast, you give the nod to whoever's job it was to come up. You give those, how do I keep saying opening? You give your closing remarks. Then you give the nod and you say, I'm going to invite Uncle Dan up, and you don't even need to say what. And then he can, of course, or to perform the toast, you can say that. What did I say? Uncle Doug? Uncle Bob? Well, the uncle comes up, gives the toast to the bride and groom, boom. And then you step in and present them right away. So whether it's me giving the toast or someone else, the toast to the bride and groom, and then immediately I present. It is my stand. You typically want everybody standing. You'll talk to the couple and the planner about the venue space. Do you want everybody standing for the toast, or do you want them sitting? A lot of time it's a really nice picture with everybody standing with the glass, but sometimes there's limitations around space and the shooters. And so I always ask the photographer, do you want people standing or sitting for the toast? Sometimes they'll be sitting because it's a better view of the couple, in which case then as soon as everybody's done with the shot, you just get everybody on their feet and you move into the presentation. Friends and family, stand with us now and present to you for the very first time, Mrs. and Mrs. Smith, and everybody cheers, okay? So that was the three. Love how Sarah kicked us off with the shotski. That was the second one we covered. The first one was more of the unity ritual. Like I say, refer to that article that I dropped there in the chat, or head to my website for that formula, the 5-step formula for every unity ritual. And then, of course, there's the toast shot or toast champagne. Like I say, you got a bonus here today if it's champagne, but it works very similar to keep the energy going. Do it right before the pronouncement at the very end of the ceremony, and just keep some of those logistical things in mind, like keeping the energy going. How are you going to disperse the glasses? Who's going to take them out of their hands before they head up the aisle? Do you want people sitting or standing? That kind of thing. It sounds tough sometimes to think about all these details, but really, all you have to do, and I've always done this, whether it's a new ritual or an old one, people are so impressed. You're so attentive to the detail. No, just sit down. It's not hard. Imagine your couple. Karen talked about it, making old fashions right there in the ceremony. How's that going to work? Is somebody talking? How are you? What are the containers? Do you need a bottle opener? Really go through every single. If you were making this, if it were a movie, do you have everything you need? And then really the details will present themselves if you think it through really well. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. Shots are a thing. Maybe you haven't had shots yet. Many of you have. I have a feeling if you do multiple weddings or even your first one, your couple says, how do we incorporate shots? Hopefully this was helpful to you. Any questions in the last, 4 minutes? I'll just take another shot of Earl Grey here. While I pop into the chat, Anita says a toast during a unity ritual seems like the more personal version of the reception toast, which might include a reference to guests and other toasts to the bride and groom. Yeah, like I say, so that's why for the officiant, I keep it really brief. Like I often say, the couple, the first thing they want to do is their first thing with you that they want to share with you as a married couple is a toast. And so please raise your glasses. Like I say, I don't get any more personal than that. Kelly and Madison, may your lives and your marriage be filled with love and laughter happily ever after. To the brides, to the brides, to the grooms, to the bridegroom, whatever you want to say. But it's really simple, and it's a lot of couples want it. A lot of couples say, "Can you toast us?" And you don't want to say no, and you don't want to say that's for the reception. You don't want to say, I don't know how to do that. Again, I never advise saying I don't know how to. You can say I don't know how to do that, but I will figure it out. I will find out. Some of the more complex unity rituals, I always say you're more than free to say, well, tell me more about how you envision that. And this is where they might not know exactly where it goes as well. And that's why I wanted to share this with you today. Okay. Hey, Mo, good to see you. Glad you dropped in. Mahalo. I guess you're not DJing on the radio right now, but it's really great to see you. Ava says, I love your enthusiasm. I can imagine the guest and couples loving it. Hey, I try to be. I do love what I do. Every time I officiate, I think I need to do this more. But of course, when I have a community of 1,500 amazing officiants like yourselves and celebrants from all over the world, and Unboring Wedding Academy and Unboring Wedding Pro and the websites and the procrastinator quick help coaching calls. And I love helping the officiant celebrant community, which means, I have to throttle the number of weddings I do a little bit. However, as you know, if you have purchased the course recently and we're part of the founding members group, Efficiently, which is our incredible software that creates and manages all your ceremonies in one place, which is coming to all new members of Unboring Wedding Academy once we get that launched this year. That really helps cut down the prep time, especially with the Love Story Caster, which is already a part of the course that writes your couple's love story for you. But man, I do love officiating weddings. It is such a pleasure. Okay, let's see. I see Mo was here making a lot of noise before I saw that. He says, aloha, Mark, and Unboring Wedding. Ohana, great content today here in the 808 state of Hawaii. Couples always ask for a coconut cracking ceremony. I usually do it after the vows portion. See what I'm saying? Thank you for proving my point, Mo, because if a couple said, if a couple said to me, we want a coconut cracking ceremony, I would say, I have no idea what that is, which is totally fine to say that. It is more than acceptable to say that. You just need to say, I'm going to give Moe, I know a guy who can walk me through this. You will do the research, you tell your couple, I will find out. I've done that many, many times. Okay. So don't be intimidated by a ritual you've never heard of. That's why I try to do these, the shot thing. Like I said, there's 3 iterations. So it made for a good show full of content. Some things will just take you 5 minutes to figure out. And obviously, I can't do a whole show on a 5 minute thing, but we say we are here to facilitate our couple to realize the vision for their day. A lot of time they'll ask us something that is outside of our wheelhouse. That is also one of the pleasures of being an officiant and a celebrant is you tackle that. There's a first time for everything. And when you do it really, really well, you know that, okay, now I can add that to my toolbox. Now I can do that again and again. And I know how to do it really well. Tia's just popping in here just as we're leaving. There's nothing you said, Tia. It's not personal. It's been an hour. And this is typically when we end things and cut things off. So glad you could drop in. Paul, great show. Haven't done a shot wedding yet, but now I know. Thanks for the 3 options. Hey, that's a great note to end on. That was the goal achieved, achievement unlocked, apparently. And so I will head off into the sunset. Thank you so much for joining today. If you want to join many of these wonderful members, unboringweddingacademy.com. Full course, 6 stages, how to be the best ceremony officiant they've ever seen. It includes the love story caster Facebook group with over 700 of these amazing members. I'm going to shoot some welcome videos today for a few members who came in over the last couple of days. I always welcome every member personally. Love the community. I love coming in here every Wednesday to share more with you about how to be the best officiant and celebrant you can be. We're all in this together. We're all learning, and I look forward to a great 2025 year with you. To those of you who are officiating this weekend, all the best to you. Be warm. Hopefully things warm up if you're not used to the cold. And thanks everybody for joining me today. Have a great one. And as we always say, marry on. Till next time. See you later.